my friend. Today, I'm going to be talking about how you can utilize the circle of fifths and to get as far away from home as you possibly can. When we're playing in a family of chords, generally all the music that you will pretty much hear in the Western ear, it has a family of chords. The major, the minor, the 1, the 4. We're going to explain a little bit about that and give you some vocabulary so you can articulate yourself on your instrument with others or just understanding what you're doing while you're playing. If you like what we do here at this channel, please subscribe. Put something cool in the comment section and then note on what you would like to see. We're always looking for new ideas. I know this is a lot of music theory here. If I don't know the answer, I will ask my teacher and I will find out. So let me get rid of this too. So today, what we're going to do is we're just going to draw the circle of fifths. Again, if you haven't checked out any of the other circle of fifths video sessions, whether they're live or recorded like this one, check those out and come back to this one. It'll fill in a lot of blanks that will be missed in the beginning. Can't always explain all the things in the circle of fifths in the beginning, but I'll try. Let's see here. If we draw a circle here, we'll do 2 circles right now, and we're going to explain how to get away from your family of chords. So here is our circle. C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, and then C sharp. When we go the other way, we're in the circle of fourths. I know, it's called the circle of fifths. Goes both ways. When you go clockwise, we're going 5 notes away. C, D, E, F, G, G, A, B, C, D, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp. When we go to these notes and we find ourselves 5 away, we can do the same thing with 4s. C, D, E, F. F has 1 flat, that flat is B flat. Just like when you go here this way, C has no sharps or flats. G has 1 sharp, that sharp is F sharp. D has C sharp, A has G sharp, but there's no real reason to write those out here because they are just the letters that are right before it. So G has F sharp, D has F sharp and C sharp, A has F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. So when we get down to something like F sharp, we have 6 sharps in the key of F sharp. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, and E sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's kind of like my little starting point for my sharps. When we go the other way, the flats lay them out for you. You don't need to know anything more than look ahead. B goes to E flat because it's 4 notes away. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat. When we get to A flat, that's great. The next one goes to D flat. It just so happens D flat is C sharp. They're enharmonically the same note. If you haven't seen this and you haven't figured out enharmonics yet, this is a great explanation. C, C sharp. D, D sharp. E, E sharp. F sharp. G, G sharp. A sharp. B, C, C, C flat, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, F flat, E flat, D, D flat, C. When we go down, D flat is C sharp. They're enharmonically the same note. That simply means that when we say the note, it has to pertain to the key signature. I would not say things twice. So in the key of C, where there is no R note, sharp, flat, flats, C, D, E, F, G, A, C flat, C. Yeah, C flat is a B, but what happened to the B? We only have 7 musical notes. We use them each time. Just like grammatically, you wouldn't say things twice while talking. Why would you say something twice when playing music? So the idea is stay within your key signature. We will learn how to use these. It gets a little tricky when you get into minors and double flats. However, it is what it is. This is our circle. If I put a G flat right here and a C flat, we have just defined what all those are. Another little trick that we talk about in previous videos is you can go 4 notes away, and that's your relative minor. Each time we do this, it makes a new concept on this. Like A minor and C major share the same key signature. When we play an F major, we have the same key signature as D minor. Why? They share the same key. There are no sharps and flats in the key of C. There's one flat in the key of F. Therefore, D minor has one flat. That flat is B flat. When you look at the scale, just from going over it, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Each one of these chords uses that B flat if there's a B flat in the spelling. If there's not a B flat in the spelling, we just don't use it. Notice how that last chord was an E diminished. If you haven't already checked out the previous videos about intervals, seventh chords, chord construction, maybe check that out. And then that E diminished always sounds really pleasing going back to the F. So nice. So if we were to play the D minor in and of itself would still have all the chords in F major. F major, G minor, A minor, B flat major. But in the key of D minor, the center of gravity, if you will, is based off of the minor, not the major. So if we had like a D minor to an E minor, that's not in the key, is it? But if we play a E diminished, it definitely is. And it goes right back to our one. Now, again, I don't want to get into a whole diatribe on majors and minors, but I would like to say that when we get into minors, we can play three different types of minors which alter those notes. Melodic minor, harmonic minor, and we'll talk about ascending and descending in a different video, which is already out there. I'll put a link in the description if I think about it. But here we go, we're in key of F. So when we have F major, we have F, we have its fourth, which is the B flat. We have its fifth, which is the C. These are the major chords inside the key of F. Right? Because we have a F, we have a B flat, and then we have a C. If we were to fill in the other notes that preside in the key signature of D minor and F major, we would also have a minor second, minor third, minor sixth, and then we've got a diminished seventh, but it's built off of a minor triad. Again, if you don't know what a harmony is or what tertiarily how to build constructions of triads, major, flat in the median, minor, flat in the dominant, diminished, and then 1-3, sharp 5, augmenting that fifth gives an augmented. When we add a seventh tone, meaning a major or a minor seventh, or even like the major sixth as a double flat, we allow the ability to manipulate this triad so our ear hears it differently. But what we're talking about today is just chord construction and where these chords preside and how to get the heck away from them when writing a little song to make it sound really kind of interesting and cool. So here we have a G minor, A minor, we've got our D minor and E diminished. The chord construction of this is a major major, right? I'm sorry, major minor. I don't know why I said that. You have F to A, that's a major third, and then you have A to C. Well, that's a minor third. The way we see that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 minor seconds. They're 5 notes away, or a major third. We have the construction of a minor second plus a minor second equals a major second. Well, a minor plus a minor plus a minor equals a minor third. And we're not shooting for that because our chord is an F, A flat, and C. It's an F, A, C. Minor is a chord construction of a minor third plus a major third. When we have a major chord, it flips that, and then it has a major third plus a minor third. And you'll clearly see that the steps that we take are minor, 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 minor. That is 4 minor seconds make a major third. And then we have 3 minor seconds, and that makes a minor third. It looks the exact same as the way it physically looks, but it quite literally is different because of the way that the piano is laid out. Now, This concept is the exact same thing on every single instrument that is played in the Western world, just for the fact that most of these are not tuned microtonally. They all have a very, very defined series of steps, which make up a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just so happens when we manipulate that 3, we get a minor. When we manipulate the 5, we either get it diminished or an augmented. That's what we talked about in our intervals series, which I wish you're going to go check out there. Otherwise, this is how to write a little ditty, get away from your diatonic chords or the chords that are derived from the key signature that allow you to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 in chord form. So, when we take this, we're going to see that our G goes there right here. When we have these, we have a D in between there. And what we tend to notice is, gee golly whiz, all these notes are actually a part of this series. The only one I'm missing here is the diminished. Well, it just so happens it's right here. So when I look at the circle fifths, if I'm playing in a major key, this is my key. If I was playing in the key of C over here, let me see if I have another color. I do. I don't know how well it'll work. It won't. Let me see if I have another color. I do. It will. Let's say we're playing in the key of G. Here's the key of G. We go 1 over so we can get its 4th. And then we draw a line collectively all the way down until we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because we had 1 chord on the other side. That makes for 7 notes. Therefore, that's the schematic I would use for the key of G. If I was writing a song and I was like, G, 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 C, 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 G, 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 it would be a 1-4 progression. Well, let's just write out a little something, something right here so we can see it, and then we can play around with it. Awesome. When I'm playing in the key of G major, if I had something along the lines of this. And I wanted to go up to the C, this would be a 1-4 progression. Back to the 1. Now if I go to the D, this would be a 1-4, 5 progression. Here's my 4 chord. Back to the 1. To the 5. To the 1. Utilizing the circle of fifths, I can see quite literally that when we play the G, C, and D, it sounds good because the G, C, and D are the 1, 4, and 5 of the chord. The relative minor of G is E minor, so even if I replace any of those major chords for that E minor, like this, it still feels good because the G major and the E minor are so closely related diatonically speaking. They share the same key signature. The only note that they both have is the F sharp. So when I'm doing this, I know that these notes, my 1, 4, and 5, golden pony boy. When I use the relative minor for my G, awesome. Well, doesn't that also mean I could use the A minor for my C? And then lo and behold, the B minor for my D. If we do that, it's going to look a little something like this. Here's my G major, but I could also throw in my next chord was C. Well, now I'm going to do an A minor. Woo! You could also throw the C over the top of it because A minor and C play together give you a minor 7 chord. And then when I go to my D, if I don't play D, but I play the triad that comes right before it, the B minor, it also sounds great. And if you're listening to that and you're like, hey, that sounds exactly like Pink Floyd, that's because it is. Honestly, when they were doing their songwriting, they use a lot of that type of movement. So one of the ideas that you become comfortable with is songs should sound good. However, when you play enough music, you realize that sometimes getting away from your family chords makes a lot of sense. So in the key of G, the further away you go physically in the circle from this note, like let's say we go all the way over here and we do like a C sharp or a D flat. Let's listen to how that sounds. Even if we did major or minor, that is so far away from our G. However, can you make that work? Depending on what you're shooting for musically. If your melody line if it has those notes in it, then yeah, I guess try and play around with that. But what you'll find is music's music. There are 7 notes. If you put them in different orders, it makes different sounds. So it really doesn't matter where you move them, as long as you don't cross tonalities and you have major being played with a minor function. Now you could have a major minor chord where you're doing something like a dominant 7th, major 7th, dominant 7th. You could even have that minor chord with this, and you could even have a major minor like our bond chord. If you have any question about what intervals are, check out the live series that is over intervals. You might learn a couple things about it. What our concept here is, if we don't go so far away like a C sharp, major or minor, and let's say we went in the circle of fifths from the D and we went to like the A flat. So here's our G. Well, here's our A flat. Even though it's up a half step, if we use it in progression, that felt weird because generally when you have a core chord like a G, the prime, you don't have an augmented prime with a resolution that comes right back into it. Most of the time your resolution would go up in step. Because it feels like a diminished, a 7, 1 in another key. So in the key of G, when we use a sharp 2, an augmented prime, that minor second also feels like a major 7th. So the concept is, if we play a chord which is a G major 7, yeah, that sounds great. But when we add that downtown, yeah, not so much. It changes the way that feels. So, utilizing the circle of fifths, sometimes I just use those A flat notes as little grace notes. Even in C, see how we just use that prime augmented into here. In fact, you could do it in many places. If you do it at the 3rd to 5th, or 3rd to 3rd, it's called a like a blues or a bebop Dorian. But if you use it at the 2nd, it still has a cool feel to it. When we're playing in the key of G, if we were to go to something like F sharp, that is right next to it just the same way as A was, or A flat, right? A flat is G sharp. But our F sharp here, F sharp major, is not in the key of G. We have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, meaning our last chord is going to be a diminished and then go into the G. Well, when we utilize F natural as a major, it's called a backdoor resolution. So we could have G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F major, G, and that sounds fine. But if we were to do the same thing and then we were to add in our F sharp major, it doesn't have the same gravitas as it normally would. However, if you write a song that utilizes that F sharp major, what you've done is you've taken a chord from another key, the F sharp, either has 6 sharps, and guess what? G sharp's in there, but what we don't have here, we don't have the notes that would be characteristically inside its diatonic. So, Chords over chords over chords over chords is what we're talking about. Hats on hats on hats on hats. Go slow. Think about your melodies as far as being tertiary. Do the harmonies you produce sound good with the melody you're writing over the top of it? And if you're writing a little something, then the further away you go from its core family, the 1, 4, 5, and I also look at it kind of like this way. Here, I'll do it over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just like chord construction of our triads, we skip. Well, 1, 3, 5. Boomzo. When we go back, this is 4, 5, 6, and then our 7th is always at the last scale of degree. The last thing I want to leave you on as far as this goes is how to use the circle fifths to change your modes. That's right. If you're playing a chord, which is the chord construction, let's say in the key of G here. Let's stay with that rather than going to C here. C is great to teach from, but G is wonderful because it has a sharp. If you do F, it has 1 flat. It is a great way to get used to your accidentals. So when we're doing here in the key of G, we have a G, B, and a D. That's a G major, 1, 3. In fact, they don't need to be anything other than this. 1, 3, 5. Let's say we're going to add the dominant 7th. The dominant 7th or the minor 7th can be called this, G major minor 7. This chord construction has a quality of a major minor 7, meaning the chord itself is going to be your G, B, D. And then we're going to add in the F. Why? Because the F itself is not the dominant 7th. It's going to be the note that's right before it. It's your minor 7th. It doesn't have the same happy, joyous feeling that the other one does. In fact, it becomes almost like a lending tone, leading tone, because the 5 dominant feels exactly like your diminished chord of the key signature. Hope that made sense, and here's what we're going to show on how to do that. In the key of G, this is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. When we do T, that's our F sharp. When we get rid of our construct as being there, as far as our notes, and we go one more over here rather than down here, you can see how we have changed our little device so we can shift it. Now the spelling is G, A, B, C, D, E, F natural. G dominant 7 or G7 is the same thing as C. Why? No sharps, no flats. So when you play modally on anything, you'd be thinking through the constructs of G major has the 1 sharp. It makes it a G major 7. But when we play G dominant 7, all those notes are inside the key of C or A minor. So it would make sense if you're playing in the key of C. F sounds great. As soon as you change that F to an F sharp, you've changed a little bit of the key because we're no longer playing in the key of C. It would be considered either the key of G, it would be considered the key of D because G major's in the key of D, F sharp's also in there. So what happens is it does not happen overnight that you start to understand that triads, when you add another triad to a triad, it makes a chord. We're just talking about harmonies when played tertiarily. Oh, that reminded me of a Zelda thing. So, when we're playing these harmonies tertiarily, we devise chords. Major 7ths, major minors, minor, major minor, dominant 7, which is what we're talking about. If we see this note as being not part of the chord or part of the chord, we could say that a C major with a dominant B flat has a B flat. Well, what other key has 1 flat? Oh, well, that's the key of F. So when I play something called C7, it is essentially my lending leading tone to get back to F because it reminds us of the E diminished F. So what I encourage all of my students to do, and anybody who watches my channel, is to ask questions. Utilize the circle fifths to have mechanisms that you can clearly see. And I know this looks clear as mud right here, but the idea is you don't just draw it one time. You draw it 200,000 million times. And the idea is what looks abstract like this, like, I don't know what that is. That doesn't make sense to me. It just looks abstract and silly. But when you write this over and over and over again, it gets burnt into your memory brain, or at least it does with a majority of people. If you don't learn that way, the other way I would say is do it is get note cards, write down on the note card something like C, E, G, and then put on the other side major. Do that for all your chords. D, F, A, minor. D, F sharp, A, major. D, F sharp, A sharp, augmented. When you do this, you will get a firm grasp on what chords are through their triads, how to manipulate them into their 4 or 5 different types of triad structure types with their sonority and their quality. And if these words that I'm using start making sense, I behoove you to watch other channels, Google and read up on this, and maybe purchase yourself one of their music theory books. College level works, but it's a lot of words you don't understand in the beginning. You could also get a music dictionary or glossary to explain these things, and you can learn this on your own, folks. You don't need to go to college to learn this. If you do, it's great to have social interaction, bounce ideas off of other people. But if you're working on this on your own, there are ways to learn this music theory. There are a couple wonderful teachers out there, unto which maybe I'll throw a couple in the comment section as well. I hope you dig this channel. If you do, subscribe, put something cool in the comment section. Keep it classy, because my students watch this channel. And if you have any questions, put them there, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Today, we talked about how to utilize the circle of fifths, so we can start seeing chords away from our family chords. What does this mean in its entirety? If you have the ability to start writing down songs, or if you have an instrument and you want to just put a little ditty together, and you find yourself playing something like, I don't know, in the key of D. The key of D, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. If I wanted to play a phrasing which was starting on a D and did not go to a chord inside of here, I would pick any one of these, and let's say, how about there's no F in the key of D, so we play an F. And D, F, how about E major? D, F, E major. Well, in the key of D, these aren't in there, so we would, in the key of D, have something like D major, F sharp minor, and then E minor. Now that sounds pleasing, but if we had a D major to an F major, and then to an E major, if you're able to hear those notes as being different than what is in the key, is you might be able to take those two concepts or ideas or structures and put them together, so when you're playing these two, you could intertwine them, come up with a melody line which is based on what notes that you would be playing as a lead or a melody over the top of those chords. Do they fit inside there or cause tension? Do they not cause tension? Are they pleasing like a consonant? Are they unpleasing, cause tension like a dissonant? That's the whole point of this music theory thing. When you start clocking hours doing what we're doing today, over 20, 40, 80 hours, you start to see little idiosyncrasies between each key signature, their modes, how they interact with other chords. And then it really is about music analysis. Go back to listen to Beethoven, Bach, Debussy, Mozart, Mendelssohn. When you do that and then you listen to contemporary music, like this feels like a Nirvana song. Why? Nirvana does this all the time. Like, what is the one I did the other day? Lithium. Weird. D to F sharp, sure, but the F sharp is supposed to be a 5-chord major chord. When we go to the B, B is the dominant. It's supposed to be here as a minor. And then when we go to the A, we're going to the 5 chord. 5 goes to the G. There's no G minor. They play it as a 5 chord, but it definitely has a minor tonality in the song if you put it there. And then when we go back to the B flat, to the A, to the C, well, there's no C major. So what they've done is they've manipulated the song, even though they started in D. You could play it all with triads, like D major, A major with an F sharp bass, F sharp minor, and then what do we have? F sharp minor to a B minor. But it's too full, too hokey. It feels like it doesn't feel right. So what the idea is, these 5 chords for Nirvana really works well. teaching one of my students to hear each note, you can really get a sense of those. That melody is always underneath there. So what happens is when you do a little bit of chord analyzation and song analyzation, it allows you to just see something like classical music or grunge or reggae or rap or any of the different genres as essentially being one and the same. Music is music. There are quite literally only 7 notes in a key signature, which is a family of chords. When you get further away from those family chords like we did here, you start to develop different ideas on what you want to do for your melodies and harmonies. I hope this helps somebody in their journey with music. Again, if you like it, subscribe, put something cool in the comment section, and we'll see you again for another one of these. Aloha!